Hi, and welcome to Microsoft Build. In this session, we'll cover how to unlock the power of declarative agents development for Microsoft 365 Copilot. My name is Sébastien Levert. I am a product manager on the Agent Developer platform, and today we're going to show you how you can use ProDev tooling to build full-on declarative agents for Microsoft 365 Copilot. But let's take a step back and think about what are agents in Microsoft 365 Copilot. Well, first, we're thinking that every employee has a copilot, and agents are empowering these people for all of the different business processes by transforming their ways of working. Copilot is the UI for AI, and we're really thinking that by bringing new agents that you can customize to your own needs, you can really make Copilot way more productive. Why would you think about creating agents and connecting them into the UI for AI? Well, first, to reach users in the flow of their work across Microsoft 365 Copilot and all of Microsoft 365. Second, increase the agent adoption through enhanced discoverability. People are spending a lot of time in Copilot. Why wouldn't you be part of that same thing? Well, you want to probably accelerate your development for multi-platform and multi-modal agents with the Microsoft user experience. You can now securely ground your agent in work data directly when you're building agents. It's going to help boost the productivity with multi-agent orchestration right out of the box with Microsoft 365 Copilot. And finally, you can also extend your own data protections and management controls for users to interact with your agents. What does it mean? First, you want to increase the agent adoption through enhanced discoverability. It means that your products, your agents that you're putting out there are now way more discoverable for all the end users for an organization. You can reach a broader audience. You can now use the immersive agent store that makes it easier for users to discover and acquire agents. And they can also find all the agents built for their organizations. Additionally, software companies like yours maybe could choose to monetize agents through the Agent Center. It also enables you to accelerate your development for multi-platform and multi-modal agents with the Microsoft user experience. Well, it's not only about the Microsoft Copilot chat that you can customize, but everywhere it is integrated by speeding up your development and significantly reducing the cost for integrating into all of our surfaces. For example, think about Word, PowerPoint, Excel, or any other areas where you want your Copilot to show up. We're enabling you to build agents through an approach that works for you. First, you can build with Copilot Studio. Use Copilot Studio as a software as a service solution to build your agents for Microsoft 365 Copilot. If you want to empower your information worker or your solution builders in your organization, that is perfect. Copilot Studio will really get the job done. But if you want to build more complex solutions and you rely on a team of software engineers, you can always build with pro-code tools using the Microsoft 365 Agents Toolkit to build or to connect your existing agents to Microsoft 365 Copilot. When we're thinking about building and connecting your agents using the Microsoft 365 Agents Toolkit, it means that you can either easily build directly inside our platform by building an agent that takes advantage of our own model, our own orchestration, our own different capabilities that we're offering users and developers to take advantage of to deliver their unique value to their users. Or B, you want to connect your existing agents that you might have built either with our own set of tooling we have here in Microsoft, maybe with Azure AI Foundry, Copilot Studio, or any other AI solution that lives in the market using our Microsoft 365 Agents SDK. And then you can automatically hook it directly inside Microsoft 365 Copilot. Today, we're really going to focus on the declarative agents. So basically, building inside our platform. And because of that, today we're happy to introduce a new set of capabilities that will enable you and your development team to build agents that are a lot more first fun, but especially productive for software engineering teams. We are introducing TypeSpec for Microsoft 365 Copilot. It is a new set of tooling that go beyond the basics because we really believe that real-world scenarios are really just that simple. Whether you're orchestrating complex workflows between Microsoft 365 Copilot and your own APIs, or you're integrating a series of services, we definitely will got your back with TypeSpec for Microsoft 365 Copilot. Also, as our platform evolves at the speed of AI, right? We're focused on shielding developers from the churn. So you can always stay productive without constantly rewriting code to keep up with all of our backend changes. It puts you in the driver's seat. And more importantly, and I think that's what we're getting the most from our different private preview partners we've been working with, is we're making the inner loop for developers way smoother. We enable you to have faster iterations, better tooling, and a lot less distractions, meaning you can focus on what really matters, building your agent, building your own solutions inside Microsoft 365 Copilot. So Microsoft 365 Copilot, I would say, has kind of 4 different pillars of value that it brings to the table. First, it is a language abstraction for declarative agents. We are bringing a totally new language that enables you to build declarative agents. Declarative agents language up until now was configuring JSON files. Now you have a fully typed experience, leveraging all the greatness that the TypeSpec language brings for designing and orchestrating APIs, but now we're bringing it directly into the world of Copilot. We're also reducing a lot of the burden on the design, the configuration, the build, the maintenance. Gone are the days where you have 7 or 10 different APIs you want to call into your solution, and you have to handle tens and dozens of different disconnected files to make sure that everything works together. Now, everything is handled by a single file if you want, or as many files as you want, but are logically connected with each other and will give you all the in-IDE experience you're expecting, where you're going to know if you're importing the right things, if you're missing functions, if you have missed different capabilities directly from there. We're also increasing the predictability in function calling scenarios, in our case, using actions. It means that you can really tie your solutions, your business solutions, to what you want Copilot to call. If you have complex APIs that require some bit of hinting on how you want the API to be called based on different scenarios, you now have the ability to really go nitty-gritty details on what can be done with your APIs. You will have the ability to describe these capabilities right out of the box with TypeSpec for Microsoft 365 Copilot. And finally, it is fully integrated in Visual Studio Code and the Agents Toolkit, meaning that it has full Agents Toolkit support for scaffolding, Visual Studio Code language server to make sure that you have all the greatness in the UI. We're also making sure that our GitHub Copilot integration is as good as it gets, so you really get the full benefit out of it. As a software engineering team, you will probably work with other teams to empower them. With TypeSpec for Microsoft 365 Copilot, we're also bringing the capability of sharing these actions, sharing these packages across multiple projects, so people can take advantage of all the hard work you've been putting into customizing an action in an API call directly for the next project. So let's go see a demo of how we can build a GitHub agent with TypeSpec for Microsoft 365 Copilot. So here we are in the Microsoft 365 Agents Toolkit. When you install the Microsoft 365 Agents Toolkit, you can find a new logo, a new icon on the left side. where you will actually be able to create a new agent or app directly from within the tool. You're going to select create a new declarative agent, and you will start with TypeSpec for Microsoft 365 Copilot. From here, you will select where you want to create your application. In my case, in my default folder. And today, we will be creating a GitHub agent. So I'm going to just call it like that. Scaffolding is really, really quick. And now I have everything available for me right here. Let's just preview the README automatically. It creates all the steps you need. You have everything available right at your fingertips on how to get started and so on and so forth. So you just need to follow the guide right here. Let's go see what we actually deployed. So what we created, sorry. So the first thing you're going to notice is at the bottom right here, you're going to find a provision button. If you want, you can already go try this app. So let me click on provision, and let's go see what we just created. And there we go. We have all of our app that was just provisioned directly to Microsoft 365 Copilot. Let's go and see. Let me just refresh my page right here. And you will see in my agents that now I have a GitHub agent right here. I'm just gonna pin it. So it's easy for me to go back to it. And in my GitHub agent, I'm gonna ask it, what can you do? And from there, well, it won't be able to help us that much because you haven't really added anything there. The only thing it does, it just tells you exactly what it can do. But we need to add capabilities. We need to add some functionality directly from here. So let's go see, and let's go into our source code and see how TypeSpec is helping us shape these declarative agents. So first, I'm going to click here on the main.tsp file. This is our entry point to our application. This is our entry point that will drive the behavior of our agent. Let's go here. Let's go at the top. So first, you're going to notice we're importing a couple of capabilities that are coming with TypeSpec. TypeSpec is a design language that helps you shape APIs and capabilities. And we're going to leverage some of them. So the TypeSpec HTTP package and the TypeSpec Open API package that will help us on the fly generate Open API files rather than taking a dependency on them. Second, we're going to import the TypeSpec for Microsoft 365 Copilot package. This is where we're adding all the magic that transforms these TypeSpec files in fully provisioned agents. We're using a couple of namespaces that are provided by our package, and then I can add some decorators. For example, I can give a title and a description to my agent. I can also add some instructions right here. And these instructions are really what will drive the behavior of our agent. And then afterwards, a series of commented examples that you can use to really take advantage of TypeSpec. So that's really what we have here. That is the only thing we have in this experience when we have it out of the box. From here, you can add as many capabilities as you want. For example, here, I want my agent to be able to connect to the GitHub website to help me with documentation. So I will be able to ask questions around how do I handle issues in GitHub, and I will be able to get scoped results directly from the GitHub website. So how do I do that? First, I will go here and I'm going to add a new op, which is going to be called web search, and is a agent capabilities that web search. And here you're going to find all of the different capabilities right from here, including web search. That is great, right? So automatically here, I can have this defined, and automatically I can now ground my answers in all of the web. But I told you we were only focusing on issues. So how do we do that? Well, here I will be able to add some complementary information and configuration to this operation. And I'll be able to do this. And here, what I just did is I just added a series of websites that will be used for grounding our agent in specific web pages or web content. So in this case, I can add up to 4 different URLs that will be using this as the way to ground our agent. So in that case, I will be able to ask questions specifically on issues, and I'm going to get the content from GitHub. So let's go and provision that and see how that helps us get better results directly from Copilot. So here, how I do this, I can go back to my agents toolkit. I will find a provision button. I'm just going to click provision, and it's going to go and do all the steps. And there we go. We're ready. I can go back here. I can now reload my website here, go to my GitHub agent and say, how can I label a GitHub issue? And now I might not know how, I might not understand how, but now what I'm going to get here is a series of help directly from the grounding that was used for the agent, with also a series of, as you can see, of references and sources, so citations that were used. And all of these websites are all within the scope that I gave it. So now if you have publicly accessible information, that is a great way to ground your agent to make sure that it's as successful as possible. So that's the first thing I wanted to do here, add a default capability inside my agent. Now let's go back. What I want to do really is to ensure that we have a great experience with connecting to GitHub, connecting to the GitHub API, ensuring that we have data coming back that I can use. So I already have some comments in my scaffolding that allows me to just basically select these lines and say, hey, you know what? I want to add a service, do a reference to a service that I'm going to consider an action. So my agent will be able to take an action, a get, a post, a patch, a delete on these capabilities. And from this, I only want to focus on the search issues capability that exists in the GitHub API. Here, it's very simple, but underneath, there's a lot of configuration that happens. So let's go and see how that search issues right here is configured. So here you see that my search issues route here is what TypeSpec provides. So you need to say, what is the endpoint I'm interested into? What is the type of operation? It is a get operation. It's called search issues. It has 2 parameters that are both into the query, in the query string, into the API path. And here, I want to say, okay, by default, these are for Teams Toolkit, and they're using these filters automatically. In my case, I will want to change that. I will want to change that to a repo that I own so I can do some cool stuff on it a little bit later. So let me just change this line here to change the repo to my own repo. There's a GitHub agent public repo that exists on my own personal organization, and just call it done. That is as simple as that. So this is what represents the API. And around it, I have some metadata that I'm going to be using, for example, to decorate our actions. So the orchestrator, what is kind of the brain of Copilot, knows how to call it. What's the name? What is the description for the model? So it knows how to really handle these things. If I have legal info, privacy info, so on and so forth. So that's a fairly simple file, but still, this is really where it gives all the top value here. So let me save that file and go back here, and that's it. Now I just unlock the power of my API directly inside my agent. Luckily, this is an open API, so it is an anonymous API that I can use. So let me go on and again click provision. Now I just use the command palette to get the provision here. I'm just going to hit provision, and once it's done, we're going to go back to our agent and see how we can actually connect to the agent. And there we go. We have our agent that was provisioned. Let me go back here. I'm just going to hit reload here. I'm going to go back to my agent. I'm going to be able to say, hey, list all GitHub issues. And it's going to use the default parameters that we shared with it. So what is the name of the repo, the number of results per page, and you can see it here. Here, you can always either click allow once, and you're going to get that prompt on every single request, or you can say always allow, and then it goes on and the user doesn't have to interact with this dialog from now on. So let me go here and just click always allow. And now we won't be able to, we won't see that again. So now it goes on, talks to the API, gets the data back, and now it shows me a beautiful experience right here with links to my different capabilities here and a series of different endpoints. This is all coming from my APIs, because now if I go here, I can go to my GitHub issue, and now I see that I have this bug in the authentication module for the mobile app. Great. I'm so happy with that. So let's go back here and let's just say, hey, I was able to call this. Something really important. We enhanced dramatically the debugging experience. If something goes wrong, your API is malformed, or you're not getting the results you're expecting, you can always say dash developer on. And with this, you will be able to enable the developer mode on. So if you do list all GitHub issues again, now you're going to find that we're generating for you a debugging card, and that debugging card will automatically give you all the details of the things that just happened with this call. So you're going to know what are the capabilities that were used, what are the different endpoints that were hit, what are the response codes, and what's the response data. So let me open up that agent debug info here, where I will find that I had one capability with this URL that was used. I have these actions right here. And I did not execute any capabilities because did not ask a question that went to the web, but I did execute an action that search issues here. And then I can find here what my invoke start and invoke end. So I will be able to automatically see if there was some latency or delays. What is the request created? What are all the different request headers? And then I can also see all the data coming back straight from my API. So these are really interesting tools that you want to take to your advantage when you're developing some capabilities right there. Later on, we're going to see how we can integrate that even more into the developer inner loop. So let's go back to our app here, because, hey, we added an endpoint. That's great. But have you seen something that for me this is great for text, but in this case, I want to have a quick glance at it. So I want to make sure that these results are presented to me in a tabular format. So let me go on and open up my main TSP file and change my instructions just a little bit. And I want to add this here, which says, when using the search issues action, always render the results as a markdown table with the following columns: number, title, assignee. And that way, Copilot will play a little bit more of a role into formatting these results. So let me go on, let me publish that, provision that app, and let's see how this results, how this behaves directly inside Copilot. And there we go. We can now go here, reload our Copilot app right from here, get to the agent, and just ask, list me all GitHub issues. And now I should see a nicely formatted table that presents all of the different capabilities and issues that are available in GitHub, as I can see it here. So it's a way for us to kind of get more predictability on how formatting will look like for end users. We're now back into our main.tsp file, where I will want to improve a little bit the look and feel of these issues. We help with formatting the results as a great table, but now, what if I wanted to have more details and more predictable ways of getting information about one specific issues? And the way to do it is to go through and create some adaptive cards. So let me go into my app package and create a new folder here. I'm going to call it cards. And as part of it, I'm going to create a new file called issue.json. Here we're going to represent what an issue would look like in this world. So let me bring in that code here. It's a very simple adaptive card that you can specify here, where we're just saying we're getting the root of the data, and for each item here, we're going to have a title, the body of the issue, and also the login of the actual assignee right there. These are really important. These are coming from the endpoints and from the API from GitHub, so easy to get a reference from those. And also we're going to add an action where I will be able to view an issue, to specifically go and view an issue using the HTML URL that is provided. But how do I connect this card with my main.tsp file? Well, again, we're going to go to my search issues. And my search issues here will just say, you know what, for this route, I want to represent all the results going back from it using the add card capability right here. That add card helps me define what I should be doing here. So let me just put in the actual code in here, where I'm going to decide where is my kind of source array for this, which is the root of the response.item. So there's an items property inside the JSON. I want to be able to use the title as a title, the URL, which would be the HTML URL. And here's the file that we're doing here. What is great here is we're making sure that this file is valid, that it is fully represented, that the file has no errors, the file is present. We can support multiple subfolders and so on and so forth. So that's really one of the best value of TypeSpec is not only we are helping you building these things, but we're also making sure that you have all the feedback possible directly inside the IDE. So let me just save that. And again, let me go to the provision and see how that looks like when we see the results directly inside Copilot. There we go. We can now go back to here and reload my Copilot app, where I will be able to go to my agent and again, list all GitHub issues. It's going to automatically call my GitHub API. And now it's going to add citations. It's going to add sources of information to all of these results. So for example, you can see them appearing right now, which is really cool. Now, for example, I see that I have this guy here, number 5. But now look at that. Have a great experience right here. And I can click on view issue and I can do that. So now you really have the opportunity to really control how one specific result coming back from your API will look like inside Copilot. That is a great way to experience the interactivity with the users, because now you can really do it all and see all that greatness from a UX standpoint. We're able to see a lot of content coming to us, right? We're able to do get, we're able to do to format some of the things. But now let me add a new API here. And by doing that, I'm going to do this here. I'm going to use actually GitHub Copilot as a way to give me more information about an endpoint, for example. So I can do update an issue. I'm gonna have, I know that I have an owner, then I have a repo, then I have an issue number, then I have the body of the issue. Look at that. Look how amazing these things are. Automatically, GitHub Copilot knows about the GitHub API, but also knows that I'm in TypeSpec. So it will automatically know how to format my thing. So now I can just go here and say, look at this. Like now my route is exactly this one. I will be able to say, oh, it's not a put, it's close enough, it's a patch. Then it's going to be called update issue. Now I'm going to have owner, issue number, body, all of that directly from here, from me here. The only thing it's not going to guess necessarily right is the shape of the body. But now what I want to do here is to basically say, I want to be able to just document model for an issue. And here I'm going to be able to say, okay, so my model looks like this, but let me kind of simplify it a little bit. I have a number. Actually, I'm never going to really, actually, I can have that. It is a optional one. I will have a title. It's also an optional one that I can pass. Body, state. I don't want to have it. It's valid, but I don't want to have it. I don't want people to update the state from within Copilot, for instance. So here, you also have the ability to decide what do you really want and what you don't want to support here. And now I can also have the assignee right here. And the assignee here is just, it's not, there's a little bit of hallucinations here. It's an assignees array that has basically an array of string. And now I can just say, hey, just to help Copilot, I can just say, okay, so here it is, the assignees of the issue. And now I have an example. And by providing this, it will automatically help Copilot understand how to format these things when it comes to calling it. And it's going to also represent it in the Open API that we generate. And there you go. Now I can just go here and update that to make it an issue. And now it's fully typed. I know exactly what's coming in and what's coming out. So now I have this here. So it's great. I was able to basically say, okay, let me go back to main. I'm going to say I need a new operation. It's going to be called update issue. Now it auto completes it for me. But let's be real. Should we be able to update a publicly available content without being logged in? Absolutely not. So we're going to need to add some authentication details to this. And the way to do it, I can add directly my authentication reference that exists in the Microsoft Developer Portal. We're using the Microsoft Developer Portal to ensure that we have everything secured in a central location. So we're not leaking any of the tokens or keys inside our apps. All that it's stored centrally inside the Microsoft Developer Portal. And I just need to basically provide what is the type of auth, what are the auth URLs, the token URLs, the refresh URLs, and the scopes. Let me paste in here my auth for GitHub. So first, if you want to get more details on how to get started with auth with API plugins and actions, the link here is really the right one to start with. Here I have an existing reference ID. This is not a key. This is not a token. This is basically the equivalent of a client ID that is available that we're using as a reference to know where is that configuration stored and how it securely gets all the information and stores a token. So this is an app that I already created in the past. This one is a reference to a GitHub OAuth app. So it's not something we can automatically create by default inside the Agents Toolkit, but if it was something using the Entra ID app, then we could absolutely do that. There's no way you could just remove this entire line, and we will automatically generate this straight into the Microsoft Developer Portal. You don't have to think about it. We're going to automatically make everything happen for you. And here I say, this is my GitHub auth. I'm using auth code. This is my URL for authorization URL, token, refresh. And here are the scopes. So these scopes are, I only have access to public repos based on the existing credentials that I have. So it means that if I'm using, for instance, my GitHub agent repo and I have write access, I will be able to use the update action, for example. But now, so this is there, but now I need to go and tell Copilot that my app or my plugin now requires authentication. So I can just go here and say at use auth, and here I can just say global.github API. That's where I've put it, and now I'm going to find GitHub auth. And just with this, now we decorated that all of these endpoints now will require authentication, that it's going to automatically use a delegated approach, that it's going to automatically connect to GitHub, get the right credentials, and I'll be able to perform the actions that I want. So let me go on, click on publish, and see how this looks like. And there we go. Let me go on and refresh my app here. I can go to my GitHub agent and say, list all GitHub issues. So I can see which one I might want to update, for instance. And I'm going to list all these GitHub issues. It's going to automatically go. But oh, wait a second. It asked me to sign in this time. Now I'm going to automatically sign in here. It's going to do all the authentication dance. I'm already logged into GitHub, so it's going to automatically do all of that. Back to the service. It's going to automatically call the API now that it is authenticated and has the right credentials. We're also putting them as a nice table right here. I can also go into the debug info, which is really interesting. The first time it failed. And why? Because we got a 403. We got a denied on this one. Then we got all the authentication dance, and the second time it worked using a 200. So now I have basically all I need, right? Now I can just say, and I see that, for example, let me go on and assign to Jeremy this performance issue. So I can just say, assign the performance issue to 𝗬𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙 his GitHub handle, and automatically you're going to see here that it automatically understands how to send that, give me a confirmation of what is going to get sent to your API. And once you're happy with it, you can just say confirm, and automatically it's going to go on and update the content directly inside GitHub. And there we go. Everything was done. I can check that I actually got a 200 from the update issue. I can see that it sent the right shape here. It sent this specific body to the API, and then I got a successful response from the API. So not only we were able to get from a simple TypeSpec file to a pretty interesting scenario, but we did that using full pro code tooling. We did that using all the different customization opportunities we have in the Agents Toolkit and in Microsoft 365 Copilot, and we're able to achieve a great result. Get started today. You can already try these things. Go to aka.ms/m365copilotdev/docs to know how to get started, to really find all the tutorials and all the documentation to take that into your own advantage and build your next agents. We're going to see you the next time. Cheers.